Hey, greetings, folks. It's the radio line, Kilo Foxtrot 0, Quebec, November Mike. And this is the Yaesu ATAS A120 screwdriver antenna. Beforehand, I would get an HF. I would screw this thing to the end of my trunk with the Diamond K400 adapter and that Mat 50. The problem is this antenna weighs like 2.5 pounds and starts to bend and flex my trunk, and that is no bueno. So instead, we're going to find a way to put my antenna down here near my trailer hitch. Let's have some fun. So a little while ago, on the bottom of my vehicle, I purchased this Kurt trailer hitch, and it was a pain to install. I had to disassemble part of underneath my vehicle in order to get this attachment. And now we gotta attach another adapter, a 1 1/4 inch to 2 inch adapter. So we have this M-Lite trailer hitch adapter, and this is the 1/4 inch to 2 inch, but these things come with this little slide-on cotter pin, and I'm not a big fan of that. That doesn't look stable. This is the antenna mount, the SS Solution antenna tower hardware, but it's got a 3/8 by 24, and we need to put on an SO Tier 39 connector instead. So I will be modifying the adapter with this and put on this SO 239 coupler. Along with that, I managed to purchase some bolts from Ace Hardware, and that should provide us some more permanent mounting solution. And before we can continue with adapting this, I need to convert this 3/8 by 24 to the SO 239 adapter. So that's got to come off. This right here, I believe, is a grounding screw, so that'll be important for bonding to the chassis down the road. We'll take a look into that in the future. Okay, so I did what I could with the Dremel tool, and there's still a little bit of burrs there, but it's not too bad. These little SO 239 couplers, I believe, are the same on both sides, so you can actually just turn the nuts there, and there's a couple washers in between. Want a washer on each side, and then try to tighten that down as much as we can. Okay, so the next tricky part of this will be to get the ATAS A120 onto this and screw it on there and see how flush it fits. There shouldn't be really any room for rocking. If there is, I'll probably have to put like a rubber ring around it or something. Okay, as I'm assembling this together, I'm kind of noticing how thin these nuts are. And for the application of this purpose, I want these nuts to bind with as much of the threading as possible, so that when there's force being applied in either direction, that there's more leverage. And I'm also not too sure about this metal, so probably what I'll end up doing is, if I can get some larger washers and some nuts that will fit this threading a little bit better, have something that's a little bit thicker and more reinforced. So that's what we're gonna do. Okay, after putting my vehicle on top of some ramps there, we are going to be attaching the trailer hitch down there, and just gonna be a couple minutes. Okay, so with this trailer hitch, I went to the hardware store and got a couple bolts that are gonna fit both these holes instead of using the cotter pins, and then I'll have it tightened into place, and that way this will be more of a permanent solution, just for safety. Okay, so we got this trailer hitch on there. She wobbles a little bit. I don't think that's gonna be a huge problem down the road, but I tighten these bolts back here as tight as I can get. So now the next part is to get the antenna mount into this mechanism. Yeah. Something I've noticed about this trailer hitch is that this is going to stick out quite a bit. So we're going to come up with some sort of safety method to help people see the antenna sticking out the back of the vehicle. The mount was a little bit thick, but by taking a file and filing corners, we were able to stuff it in there, and now we can get a bolt on there and get that into place. The next difficult step we're going to do here is we're going to provide a path to ground. Now this is our ground lug right here. We're going to take off this little ring terminal and replace that with a different terminal so that the shield of the coax and the pin of the coax has a path. Now there's a difference between DC continuity and RF continuity. So we're going to try to do what we can to make a path to the chassis of the vehicle, because that is what allows us to tune 30 meters through 6 meters. Now, I don't know about 40 meters, don't know what it's going to do, but we'll see what happens. Okay, and after futzing with this for quite a while and some very ugly tape work and in efforts to try to hide that copper wire that's going to a magnetic adapter in my chassis inside my trunk, and I've tested for continuity and it's there. So the only thing left we have to do is to attach the antenna and see if it tunes. There is one crucial component that I almost forgot to put on there. Coax. And this is Super Bat, 15 feet, UHF male, blah, blah, blah. It should be fine for HF, I hope. One other very important thing you should do is to use some silicone self-amalgamating tape around the connector, and that will weather seal it. And then we're going to wrap that up in a little bit of electrical tape. And while there's a train going by, just to ensure we don't get any common mode current, we'll add a couple of these ferrite beads, maybe about 5 or 6 of them, we'll see. And there you have it, one ATAS A120 on the back of my hitch. Well, the real question is will it tune? But before I do that, I gotta do some modifications just to make sure that this thing is a little bit more visible. The thing about ham radio is that it doesn't have to be pretty, it just has to work. So I added some red stripes there to make it quite visible on the back, and then a little tiny one at the tip. So that way people can see where they're going. All right, in a moment of truth, let's go ahead and turn around. I hear static, that's a good thing. Let's go to the bands and switch to the 20 meter band. Now let's just switch to a frequency that nobody's using. And I'm going to adjust the SWR. It looks like, ooh, we found a sweet spot. It looks like the queue is pretty tight, but we managed to get something.
One of the other did. So take care. Thanks for bringing the 240 on. Whiskey Bravo 9 Delta Bravo Delta Georgia.
Well, there's a lot of QSB in the bands anyway, but the antenna works and we're able to tune 20 meters, which is the band that I commonly use. So I will consider that a win. It is extremely hot outside, and I just worked on this project for a couple hours. But thanks for sticking with me. I really appreciate it. This is the Radio Line, Kilo Foxtrot 0 Quebec November Mike. I'm going to go get some water, 73. Goodbye, guys. Thank you so much.